Okay, today we'll focus on the transformative role of artificial intelligence in educational research. We'll begin with a keynote presentation, followed by a Q&A session where you can engage with our speaker, Mr. Mobo. Without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Froilan De Mobo, a distinguished academic and lecturer at the Philippine Merchant Marine Academy. Please present your Mr. Mobo's CV. Okay, known for his expertise in educational research, development education, and public administration. Mr. Mobo has authored numerous scholarly articles and book chapters, many indexed in prestigious databases like Scopus. As an international speaker, he has participated in global conferences and webinars, sharing his insights on educational research methodologies and the integration of technology in education. Dr. Mobo's work is widely respected for its depth and impact on the field. Please join me in welcoming him. Good evening, Mr. Mobo.
Yeah, good evening. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending for this momentous event. Especially, this is our pre-conference, our upcoming conference this coming December. So, thank you for attending to this event. This is an important event for us.
Okay, Mr. Time is yours for presentation and our tonight webinar.
Okay, so let me share my screen. Is it visible on your part, guys? I think it's already visible. So once again, my task for this tonight's event is of course to discuss about how we leverage, of course, the artificial intelligence for data-driven, especially when we do research not only in the field of education, but in any various diverse areas, just like what I'm always trying to discuss in my students in the graduate school, that it's very important that as a researcher, we should always be diverse in terms of uh, crafting good research that can be helpful in all aspects. So part of that, of course, let us define what is an AI is all about. Of course, we are all aware that artificial intelligence has rapidly transformed various sectors in education, no, without any exemptions, especially in the part of research. It becomes more powerful because it can enable a lot of things in terms of data analysis, and of course can personalize of any learning experiences. You can automate some programs, you can do what you want, you can ask part of that using the natural language processing. All of these things is very important when you use the artificial intelligence tool, when we provide such thing as doing for the benefits, the challenges, and of course its potential in the educational research. And of course, it plays a vital role. For example, as a researcher, even we innovate, we do a lot of technologies, there's always some challenges, but along the way, the technology really emphasizes that we really have to leverage along with the technology as part of how we encompass, of course, using this technology. For example, there's such a thing as a chat GPT, we have Killbot or Grammarly. How this thing being evolved, because there's a purpose of we use that as part of doing research, how can enable us in how we can leverage in writing our research in crafting a good title, a good article, apparently to submit that a high index journal, particularly in a Scopus Index. So those things are very important when you come up or using those AI technologies. Of course, the role of in the educational research, it plays a multifaceted role in the educational research because it provides some tools. For example, when you collect your data, you can analyze that for visual data analyzation, and of course you can make some things that you can analyze the data, you can rate, and of course sometimes it can do researchers analyze things in a vast amount of data in just a single click. You would be able to help, of course, when creating some tens patterns or relationship between any decision making that you want in terms of example crafting policies and guidelines, creating some comparing and contrasting some data that you want to prove, just like what I have told my students in other courses. I always tell them that there's a role that the technology today, especially when we use artificial intelligence, it plays a role. We talk about the intelligence systems, we talk about the expert systems. It really helps, even though there's a part of we could not measure it. But if we're going to use a technology, for example, in our daily life, in crafting a good research, it really helps a lot. For instance, when there's no need to look for a grammarian, you can use Grammarly to check that accurately. So you would be able to get an accurate result using those technologies. So it really gives emphasis when you use those technology along the way, when you write your manuscript, when you craft your article, so that when you submit that in a high leverage publishing company or in a highly recognized publisher, they will of course accept it. And of course, when we use personalized learning research, for example, in AI-driven tools such as learning platforms and learning management, sometimes it has an inability to use that. That is one part of how technology can be really something like an engagement or a comprehension learning part. For example, you have a learning management system wherein it has a capability to use a library of some AI tools, for example, to check the similarities, to check if you meet the standards based on the data which you have collected. Example, using plagiarism checker, grammar checking, or sometimes used for bibliometrics. So those things are really play a major role. Another thing is those analytics that we're trying to be, for example, you want to use analytics, something like you want to predict those things, you could be able to forecast the results based on that. Something like it's a thing that it's a smart tool that you can use AI as long as you have some rule governing on how you will be able to work out to use AI technology as a platform for educational purposes. Just like what I mentioned a while ago in one of my classes in the uh, graduate school, even in the undergraduate, I always try to tell them that if there is a policy, you will be able to use this technology as part of the learning materials that you could be able to use that as for literature review. For instance, you want to simulate that as an expert systems, you could be able to ask that in a way that you could use that as for your referencing tool, for grammar checking, everything that you want to use that, as long as it will be able to benefit the all of us as a researcher, and also as a student. So of course, for example, in the natural language processing, this is a subfield in AI that would be able to get its purpose. For example, just like what we that other developers have developed in the web development part, they have developed a Google Translate, wherein a lot of researchers need to translate languages. For example, from Indonesian to English translation, there's a need to translate it, because those technology that can embed those things can automatically translate those things in our universal language, which is the English language. So it's just a part wherein natural language is always there, wherein it is a subfield of AI that helps convert things that it makes easier for us to understand, or sometimes it can grade automatically based on what those tasks is really needed. So those are things that we really need to provide insights in language development, especially if we're talking about the veracity when we do research writing, publishing articles in a highly indexed journals, in a Scopus, for example, or in a Web of Science. So there's a need to have an NLP tool wherein it can help you to support that. So those are technology that is sometimes it's embedded in the email, sometimes in the submission systems. In every platform, there's a need to have that. Even in our gadgets, it's being embedded. So those things are part of the tools that we use. For example, in the applications of AI in educational research, of course, part of that we have the assessment and evaluation. So AI is becoming more revolutionizing how education assess that is, because sometimes it can automatically score a particular simulations, or for instance, it can evaluate student response based on factors such as the coherence on how they will be able to do the assignment which is being done, the structure and grammar. So AI can do those things if they program a particular learning management systems or a library wherein it can adapt assessments wherein even it's quite difficult, but at the end of the day, if it's a platform that can interact between the teacher and the students, they would be able to learn that the AI really plays a vital role. Just like what we are doing, for example, in our university, we apply the technology using this learning management where we in all the interactions between the students can be able to understand by the students because of the real-time feedback response coming using the systems as part of a support platform in that kind of technology. Even it sometimes it has a support from Grammarly, sometimes from plagiarism check, or even in technology tool that can automatically check their quizzes or their assignments. So it's part of a platform where the applications of AI really help us a lot in doing activities or in crafting a good title. Even when you want to, if you want to check the validity reliability of some resources, you can ask, for example, a particular technology to check it. No, there's a lot of things that we have to explore, check, and use that as part of being a researcher. So AI is an important application where when it can be adopted when we use that in our writing towards creating or crafting a good research output. Another, of course, it's a learning analytics because it is increasingly used in learning method where researchers or authors can analyze students' output, wherein various digital learning platforms can serve or AI tools can track students' progress based on learning behaviors. For example, I'm talking about the analytics. If a particular student submit his or her output, definitely the system has a capability to check it real time. So from there, the student will be able to get its engagement coming from those technology platform. For example, a student answer a particular quizzes, assignments online. So therefore, that technology can intervene by creating a particular analytics coming from his performance using an AI technology. And another thing is that it can help some analysis wherein it can gauge the students where he is, can give some strengths and weaknesses based on the systems. So those things are an important factor in AI plays a big role in not only in writing research but in giving assessment as part of our leveraging our educational platform, not only in research but of course in our way on how we critically think when we use that as a learning platform and also as an educational learning research platform when we use that in our online classes or in other things that we need to do, especially if it's related to research activities. Of course, another thing is the educational content creation is that AI powered tools can assist researchers in creating or crafting an educational content by generating, for example, some interactive exercises or even a full scale courses. Researchers can study how AI generate materials impact based on student engagement and how it can be more interactive. For example, something like an interaction between the teacher and the student. So it can really help those technology. But again, mind you guys that you should always set a rule based wherein there should be a parameter wherein it can gauge. Okay, it will serve as a platform or a parameters wherein it can check the standards of the platform wherein you can mitigate the possible challenges along the way. Because if there's a technology, sometimes there's also a part of mitigation on how you will be able to use those technologies as a learning platform. And part of that also we also have some AI powered virtual classrooms and tutors. Example, some availability of some intelligent systems on how you will be able to ask them some AI-powered virtual classrooms that can provide tutoring to students. For instance, let's say in a particular learning management system, sometimes you can ask them if they are really adapted to give the exact definition why you need to click on that, something like an orientation, a customized feedback, a guidance or resources wherein you as a student or researcher can easily use the technology. So the effectiveness of this AI tutors or something like a chatbot wherein it can use like a traditional human-led instruction can really help you in venturing, especially using the technology. So it really gives emphasis when we use the technology platform, especially in using AI, when we conduct literature review, for instance, or due to big data visualization, crafting a good research title, or knowing some giving some other things that you want to ask, by validating those things, it really helps us a lot. And of course, the benefits of AI in doing educational research in terms of efficiency and speed, it will really automate, and it is really something when you ask something on that, it can process the data easily. It will give you the content analysis based on how you simulate on it. It allows you guys or researcher to focus on more interpretative decision making. Sometimes they ask me, sir, is it ethical to use AI? I think it's ethical unless you have some parameters on how you will be able to measure it. It's a policy wherein you should always set on how you will be able to use AI in doing educational activities or educational research as part of your journey in crafting a good output. Of course, sometimes AI can also analyze algorithms. It can quickly give you insights in uh, crafting a good analytics or an output. So those things are part of being efficient and how speed they would be able to craft it. Just like what I have told you a while ago in checking the good structure of your grammar, AI can check on it using Grammarly, using Killbot. They could hardly check it accurately. Your grammar, the construction of your grammar. That's what we have in the technology right now. And of course, it can also enhance personalization because it allows more researches to become adapted by using a lot of preferences. For example, by analyzing a real-time immediate feedback coming from those tailored software on what is the purpose, why you need to use that. So what will be the benefits for both learners and researchers in doing those educational practice? For example, you want to simulate in a kind of activity where when you do that mostly in practical laboratory exercises, but in absence of that kind of activity, you can simulate that using AI and how it will be able to enhance your personalization in terms of the learning process. So AI really gives a helping hand in terms of doing or crafting deeper and in-depth study on those particular topics. For example, you want to uh, simulate a particular topics that relates in your specialization. So AI can really do that in giving those things. As long as it should be smart, specific, and it can be measured out based on the purpose of your study. So those smart rules are really applicable when you use that as part of simulation using the AI technology, even it's a Turnitin, Grammarly, or Killbot or any platform that can automatically give you an efficient and speed up all the processes that you are doing right now as a researcher. And another, these are data-driven insight that the tools can accurately give some analysis. For example, some machine learning algorithms can patternize a good output coming from a particular problems or situations where it can enable you researchers to design a betterment intervention that can enhance your learning experiences by giving a critical thinking process. So that's one part on how the data is being captured. For example, using Grammarly, it can generate the scores, and then sometimes it can give you a strength and weaknesses of your manuscript. That's one way. Another, it is scalable because the AI can allow educational research to generate some insights across diverse environments. For example, if you are uh, a kind of researcher that are diverse, that you want to apply other multi-discipline, and you want to use that, for example, conducting other subfields. Let's say you want to combine social science with a mix of other courses, like for example criminology or public management. You can use that in crafting a good output based on the technology that you want. For example, you want to use uh, Grammarly, you want to use Chat GPT. When use that for a specific purpose, as long that the purpose is educational, then it can influence the educational policy based on the parameters that you have set along the way. And it is also important that you should always have a rule based on what the purpose of the uh, situation might be able to be more useful. Another, the challenges of artificial intelligence or AI in educational research, of course, sometimes there are some challenges along the way. For example, AI systems learn from existing data. Sometimes it depends that it may contain biases, so you have to set parameters based on the result that might be generated. So you should be able to check if there's an intentional reinforced bias based on education. So you have to validate it based on other way process and other things. And then of course the privacy and ethical concerns. So the collection of the use of students' data, sometimes you have to ensure that the data which is been crafted by using this technology are being double checked. So you should be able to check it if it's really applicable to use that in your research part. And of course, their interpretability. For example, if you're going to simulate that in ChatGPT, you make sure that you have to use the rule-based. It must be specific enough so that it will be able to respond to you in a specific result. If you want to ask, for example, a literature review on this particular theories, and it will give you some feedbacks that it is highly accurate, rather than using other online databases that sometimes it can generalize other topics. But when you use that those technology, for example AI, then you use example Chat GPT by generating a particular review, a paper review, then it will be able to give a specific review based on those technology platform because of its scalability that can measure up things in a speed process. And another, AI tools for data collection and analysis, of course, it really helps. This will how AI enables automate data through adapted learning platforms. For example, some online surveys or tracking engagement. They could be able to uh, check between the comparativeness and the cohesiveness between the result of the data, if it's can identify if it's a qualitative or quantitative. So it can analyze both data and discuss what platforms can you use, if that is the natural language process for content analysis. Is it a machine learning that can interpret a particular voluminous data, or it can interpret a pattern by using those things, or other data visualization that can interpret or enhance table based on that. So meaning those technologies, like for example, in terms of videometric analysis, the referencing style, sometimes AI can really help. If you have heard of auto citation, sometimes it really helps, no? It depends on how you will be able to treat that. So those things are part of the generations which is being programmed to help us researchers and authors to do our task easily, because we are now in the advent of technology. We are now in the 21st century, wherein this technology can really play a vital role, especially that we have to mitigate those challenges along the way, as long that we all know how it is being used ethically, okay, with some parameters and rule base. And part of that, the personalized learning process that it can also show how you will be able to use this platform to be adopted in something like a new for you, that if you interact with this, it will really give you some good assessments or good results, that by using technology, it is really something like it is an effective tool that it can measure out how you as a student interact with other activities that you want to do. It can give personal assessment assignments, or even some analytics, or it sometimes can even explain your performance as a student or as a researcher. So it depends on what preferences you want to achieve. Of course, part of that, it can highlight some improved engagement by outcomes by focusing on the strength, the needs and areas for improvement, as part of what AI can use specifically. As long as you have the purpose to do that. In the part of AI-driven curriculum development and data-driven decision making, AI for curriculum evaluation, of course, sometimes they can present example how they can analyze the effective curricula by comparing and contrasting some metrics coming from the previous, and you will be able to know the gap. Something like generating a graphical chart, and from there it will be giving a result, an analytics for when it can predict that this kind of process can give you strength and weaknesses for a specific demographics. For example, a real world scenario or a simulation where AI really help in refining or tune up a curriculum development. For example, the using of data to be more adaptive in the learning platform, of course, in terms of amending some curriculum courses or creating a new, which is, it really gives benefits. And of course, sometimes it has also some limitations. Just like, for example, using Chat GPT, we know that sometimes the reason why other universities sometimes they criticizing Chat GPT because they don't set policies. But if you set policies based on how smart Chat GPT is, or those AI content technology, it can really help us researcher to facilitate what's the purpose, as long as you have a rule base on how you will be able to set things. Or for example, setting the data sets, or sometimes you can program it on how it will be used purposely in crafting your research, or doing some analytics, or checking the similarities if it's even the generated using those chat GPT, or else being copied and pasted from those technology. It could go beyond on that. Of course, predictive analysis and student performance. Of course, when we use AI, it can analyze past student performance to predict the future trends or other things that you want to project based on the requirement, okay, on how they will be able to understand the data which can be predicted, which students might also ask on what will be the weaknesses if you're going to compare and contrast that based on their understanding. So that's how AI really plays a big role in doing predictive analytics, and also it has an effect on the student performance. So part of that, we also use some large-scale education research with AI. For example, using big data in education, discuss how enable researchers to analyze data sets from other area, wherein it can give you some future results. Or sometimes it can be a global trend analysis, wherein how can AI be used to analyze trends across different regions. Sometimes it can be able to crop a particular output which will be used to your class, and later it will be able to uncover some insights on how you will be able to do that as part of a reference based on what you have conducted. It's also a form of equity because it can highlight disparities in education and suggest that you can continue the solutions to create more equitable learning environment. So on the part of the AI, it really helps us in terms of validation or doing everything. So those things can really be more adaptive. And crafting a good output or a good a good part of your research. And next, of course, the challenges in ethics and privacy concerns. Part of that is when you use data privacy using AI, of course, it can discuss how use AI-driven researches and be handled to protect student privacy and to comply with the regulations. So it depends on how you will be able to mitigate those challenges and process what's good and what's bad based on the ethical standard that we have. And of course, we should always be mindful that we also have an accountability for who is responsible when we use this kind of decision when we run those things as part of the system's enhancement. So it's very important that when you use those technology platform. Another, of course, the future of AI in educational research, as if you're going to analyze, of course, AI's future impact might be potential to expand for possible educational research because it can optimize learning environments, create a more equitable access to educational globally, wherein sometimes you can compare and contrast what would be the possible analytics between the previous year. And you can optimize this technology and using that, how to encourage, example, researchers, educators to explore or AI tools, but with a critical approach on how it will be more effective enough in talking about ethical standards and practical constraint into your area. Example, how you envision AI shaping the future of educational research and teaching process. So there's a lot of things that you can discuss and explain to your colleagues that there is a certain policies and guidance that it's being stipulated under the that particular department, and it will be reprimanded to do this thing. So it's very important that we always have to check its process using the technology. And of course, part of that, how AI enhances research. Example, automated transcription. Those are the days that we don't have an automatic transcriptions. Sometimes some pattern recognition wherein it can quickly analyze large data sets. So part of that, technology really gives a big help or big approaches wherein this technology really gives some real-time results. All these things can really be helpful. Okay? And it should be gives emphasis in doing those kind of practices. Like for example, real-time analysis by doing some focus group session process, interviews, or conducting some discussions. So it can provide researchers an realistic approach when you use that technology as part of an assessment. So from there, you will be able to leverage your process, how it can enhance and help your process, and sometimes look lack of human touch because it can really do things with as long as you have some base rule process. And some if there are some concerns about privacy concerns, AI tools can especially use this platform can raise concern regarding how data is being kept, privacy or secured. So enhancing the student engagement, sometimes AI-powered educational tools and platforms can offer an interactive and immersive learning experience. Just like what I shared a while ago, you can incorporate all those technologies, for example, in your learning management system as a library support, wherein when you have a lot of this technology, it can merely simulate or it can be more adapted in facilitating this kind of technology, talking about how the environment would really be dynamic and engaging when you use this kind of technology. For example, when simulating a kind of exercises or exploring things which is a complex part, or you collaborate with peers by using this kind of approaches, by using this kind of technology, when you want to leverage your performance in using this kind of enhanced platform. Of course, in terms of efficiency and automation for educators, in addition to the benefiting students, sometimes it will be able to streamline administrative tasks or provides educators, of course, valuable supports to enhance, of course, the effectiveness in terms of giving grades or checking the result, validating that, checking if it will really match the requirements of your standards or institutions. So it can enable all those things that can be used because it can provide analytics, just like what I mentioned from time to time, that it can give specific instructions on how you'll be able to analyze a particular performance on the following process. It can identify trends, predict learning gaps, and of course, the instructional decisions, which can really give emphasis by empowering educators to some data-driven interventions that can support the students in terms of their performance as a student. And of course, addressing learning gaps and accessibility is that AI has the potential to address learning gaps, promote inclusivity by providing personalized data or code to stands with diverse needs and abilities. So meaning this kind of about adaptive learning is really helpful for us, no? And use that as an AI-powered technology which can assist technology such as speed recognition, text tools, or any other ways on how you will be able to uh, motivate to mitigate this kind of issues that we are encountering right now. And another thing is that the challenges and considerations that while AI holds up to now the policies and guidance without having a concrete agreement, you should always be mindful that this process can be transformed by using technology. For example, this can demonstrate the teaching process, sometimes can enable unequitable access to a particular device, which can automatically perform this kind of processes without any disparities using this kind of platform when we leverage our skills using the this kind of technology. And it will really give you an accurate result based on the result of your study. Another, the future of AI in education is that as AI continues to evolve, its potential to revolutionary thing or education will only grow. Some future developments may include advanced virtual tutors that provide personalized, or sometimes it depends on you on how you will be able to use that as part of your uh, project, and as part of your content creation, or it can be aligned according to the requirement. Okay, it's very important that you should always mix using those things. So in enhancing learning experiences for students or cadets, for example, AI can also do the enrichment of activities, or which I have mentioned a while ago. You can use the tutoring system or chatbots. Sometimes it can analyze the results, or sometimes it can set some rule-based, especially if there's a misuse of the technology. Sometimes they might be able to use it for cheating assignments or exams, but if you're going to mentor your student, educate them on how this technology, how could be able to be more useful for your students, I think it depends on how you will be able to uh, guide them on how you will be able to use this kind of technology as your part of your preference in writing your paper or coming up with a good structure of your systems. And of course, empowering teachers as or authors with AI, it can reduce workload because it can help teachers save time to streamline their works by automating administrative tasks and providing virtual assessment. Okay? So those things are very important. And of course, the navigating challenges and ensuring safety when we do research process, it's because the content should always be accurate enough that it can prevent from any other biases. So it is a must that we should always check the privacy security of our systems, where we can it is always uh precise, that it has a these things that can be used in other way around. And of course, when we build future ready skills, of course, in terms of digital literacy, it will be able to advocate the student learning part by strengthening the AI's capability, limitations in ethical implication to foster responsible usage and critical or discover a new way. Or sometimes it can students can may be able to know how to evaluate and uh, check the process on how they will be able to give him an actual result. So those things are important when we use the AI technology. Sometimes the advantages of AI in education can personalize learning, efficient assessment using analytics, accessibility, or sometimes a 24/7 availability thing that might, if there's a situation that might arise our situation. So how can you use AI for research? Of course, AI has proven a lot of things itself to be handy in many situations that we have seen. And sometimes it would be better that in this kind of era, it can easily fit into some several stages of your workflow and give you the accurate responses based on the collective da- data coming from your system. And also it can be used for finding and reviewing relevant papers. So there are some AI search engines that can help you to leverage your literature reviews in conducting that technology. For example, AI can check the similarities or sometimes it can help you to structurally write your paper in accordance with the requirement needed, for instance. Or comprehending academic papers. For example, AI can come up or use technology for academic papers which is easier for you to read and understand. Those things are very important. So there are some assistants wherein they will interact with your output and give evaluation based on that. So this technology plays a vital role in our society nowadays, especially when we talk about the with the quality standards or quality education. We always have to consider all factors that we need to set. Of course, in the terms of data collection and analysis, in terms of AI, how it revolutionized, especially this upcoming activities that we are conducting, you have to make things more something like it must be protected or uh, can do these things, can do the data collection process by quickly gathering of course, information from large databases, then you could be able to use that. It depends on how you will be able to use that for such those things. And of course, ICT is frequently used in research to find material online for a peer review process or literature review, where it is a point of applications that can really help you when you do your process of your uh, writing or in any other way, which is related to the research base. Another, what is the role of AI in research? Of course, all facilities working into a large amount of volume of data. If we have those kind of technology, definitely it will really help, okay, on how we have be able to come up with a good outputs coming from those things that they want to something about it. And another, the research argues that the major role for AI research in educational part should always be an important contribution, of course, to the understanding of the process of learning with a view of to transform teaching strategies and approaches. It must be uh, closely related on those some terms that we have mentioned a while ago. And of course, it also offers a bibliometric analysis wherein it can examine or process the state of a research activity, or it can carry in relationship to the learning communities based on that kind of situation. So it's a case-to-case basis where it can help you when you write those simulation using the technology platform as part of your intervention in your daily lives. Another, of course, these are some cases of research-based study where you can use this, for example, chatbots. These are some of my research study which has been published in a Scopus Index databases, for example, using chatbots, using some data mapping tool wherein the citizen engagement can be done across many domains, or some spatial data infrastructure for this kind of study. This is something like a expert systems where you can use a lot of things and dedicated processes. Okay, so those are things that can really help you when you do your development part using the technology. So sometimes you have to measure out things which is important or not important as part of your journey to come up with a good research outputs. Of course, there are some AI tools for research. Commonly, these are the tools that we usually have encountered, the Killbot, for instance, the ChatGPT. All those things can give a beneficial result that will be baseline, that you have used this technology that can come up all this kind of process. So it's very important that we should be something like be updated with the some latest of technologies that can be more helpful for us as a way on how you will be able to assess, to validate if those data are really true. So it depends on how you will be able to apply all these things using the technology platform. So talking about the leveraging of the technology, it really helps us a lot in doing those things. So me as a researcher and using those technology platform and leveraging the type of data driven in educational research, of course, it really gives emphasis that when you have this kind of technologies and platform tool, it will be able to help us in creating a precise systems wherein it can also be give benefits. So those are the things that we have to bear in our mind, that all these things can be applied, program, and what preferences you need. Okay? And it's very important that when you do research process or literature review, it's very important. That's why in leveraging your data for this kind of research, it really helps. Okay? So those things are very important when crafting a good research title or good output as part of leveraging your output in a clearly manner. It really helps us when you come up with your good output as part of your research process. So it will really give emphasis in crafting a good research output based on that. So on that part, it will really give analysis when crafting those things, in doing some literature review, asking these things in a more resourceful way, crafting a good research output. It will really help you leverage this kind of things in giving an insightful references in doing research activities, especially when you use this technology as part of your output in doing your research. So part of that, it's very important that we use this technology. So my uh, last part that I want to share to you guys, that even we have this technology, we should be mindful that we should always use this technology as part of your output when we do our research. It's very important. Okay, so I think that would be all on my last part on how we would be mindful or be more something like a proactive when we use this technology as part of our when we conduct our research. So I think that would be all on my part. So thank you for inviting me for this virtual session. So that would be all, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my skills in doing this research part.
That's very insightful presentation. Thank you very much, Mr. Mobo. And it is very clear, yeah, that and artificial intelligence has vast potential to reshape or reconfigure educational research. So before we continue with our Q&A session, I'd like to take a moment to share an exciting opportunity for all of you to share your research with our Call for Abstract, the second international virtual conference on educational research and applied business, or known as RABC, will be held on December 14 until 15 for the 2024. This year's theme is Global Challenges and Sustainable Development. If you're interested in sharing your research, you can register and find more details at our Instagram or our website. So now let's get back and dive deeper into our topic tonight with a Q&A session. Please, the participant can feel free to ask or type your questions in the chat. Or you can raise hand first before asking a question. Anyone? So before the participant, maybe I'll go first, yeah, Mr. Mobo. So how do you see artificial intelligence or AI currently impacting educational research, and what are some of the most promising application or AI that you have encountered for the student?
For example, now in terms of leveraging the AI technology, for example, using Killbot or plagiarism checker, sometimes it will give 100% accurate in terms of validating or checking the responses. For example, in terms of grammar checking, in terms of checking the similarity. So it gives really good feedback when we come up with those outputs. So it gives a highly accurate results coming from those learning platform that we use in our technology nowadays, especially that this technology really gives help when we uh, generating or coming up with a good output. So that would be helpful or be mindful for us as an educator and researcher also at the same time.
Yeah. Okay, so anyone with a question? Okay, I think it is quite clear for the presentation. The last, please give the closing statement, Mr. Mobo.
Come again, ma'am.
The closing statement.
And the closing part. So we are na. So once again, thank you for joining to our momentous event for this evening. I hope that this coming December 14 and 21, you could be able to attend and join us in our conference. You could be able to share your responses in your research so that you could be able to share that to our academic community, and you could be able to benefit and what you would be able to get if you have presented your research, especially that you can collaborate and exchange ideas with other experts around the globe.
Okay, as we approach the end of our time together, I'd like, yeah, there is a question from Mr. Christopher. You have question? Please unmute your speaker.
Okay, sorry for the late response, ma'am, Sir Doc Mobo. Am I only clarifying how we will going to use as a reference the AI when we are going to use as some of the information regarding on our research topic. We will going to use as this as reference.
For example, let's say you want to simulate that in ChatGPT. It can give an accurate responses. For example, you want to check the validity of the responses coming from you want to cross-reference, for example, coming from the internet, and you want to check it in the ChatGPT. It can simulate the good results coming from those available, an accurate result coming from those available data, which is coming from those responses. So I think the chat GPT can help you to leverage or the tools that you have to use. Just you have to set a rule-based policy on that. And it is really ethical way to use that as long as it can serve as a learning platform, especially when you simulate some things that you want to use. As long as there's a parameter, a rule-based, just like what I mentioned a while ago.
Okay, sir. Doc, thank you for that nice answers po.
Yeah.
Thank you po.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Christopher. Anyone else? Or we can close the. Oh yeah, there are questions in the room chat. How can we avoid plagiarism if the output we wrote is the same literature? Please, Mr. Mobile, give the answer.
I think you can avoid from those plagiarism or similarities by writing it, of course, in a meaningful way. Straightforwarding when you write it and narrating it based on that. Of course, the AI technology can also support you when you want to support it. For example, when you use that for citation references, structuring the grammar, but don't use that for something like you want to defeat the purpose, like you want to generate an inaccurate result. So it will defeat the purpose because AI can only be used as a support cost analysis, wherein it will serve for its benefit as long as we will give an emphasis on how you will be able to do that. I think for the reaching those kind of situation for some plagiarism issues, I think it depends on how you will be able to avoid that. I think proper citations, analysis on that by doing the proper way.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mubo. It is clear, Erlande Mate. Is there any question from everyone? Oh, there are one question again, sir. Can you consider if an AI generated output was just rephrase plagiarism?
Yes, of course, you would be able to check on those traces coming from, if you want to check that from a plagiarism check, you could be able to categorize from those areas whether it can be highlighted, of course, if those things are being crafted coming from an AI technology, it can be categorized based on that in a rule-based situation. So it depends on what you can use on that. So it's a case-to-case basis, of course.
Okay, so sorry for the participant. We have reached the time limit, and as we approach the end of our time together, I'd like to thank our speaker for sharing their expertise and insights today. AI has the potential to significantly enhance educational research, and I hope you all feel inspired to explore these technologies further. Before we wrap up, we'd love to take a photo with all of you, so please turn on your camera now, and I'll count down from 3.
Please wait.
Yeah.
Okay, you can start to count down. I think we only have one slide. Yeah, you can count down.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, smile.
Okay, once again.
Okay, once again ya. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, done.
Okay. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. If you have any further questions or would like to continue the conversation, please feel free to reach out to us via Instagram or LinkedIn at Generasi Peneliti. And have a great evening, everyone. And we hope to see you at our future webinars. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mobo.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.